Welcome back. You man, Dominic K in here, of course, the DominiCShow.com, on fire-tv.com. So happy to be with you today. My goodness. It is election season is in what they call full swing. Full swing election season and early voting underway. We're going to talk a lot about voting, early voting, and all that good stuff. We're going to talk about that tonight. And I have a gang of other things that I need to, get going here. Of course, any episodes of the program you want to check out the Diamond K Show. Very easy to do that. The Diamond K Show available on all podcast networks, anywhere that you can get your podcasts. Just search the Diamond K Show, and boom, we are right there. So, as I said, countdown to election day is underway, and as far as in-person early voter turnout, mail-in ballot returns are the highest in Baltimore County. All right, is that a surprise to some of y'all? Baltimore County having the highest in Maryland, right? And so, less than a week, 6 days away. Some voters in areas of Maryland are making sure that they get out early to beat the lines, to cast their votes. And it's a good thing. Often you will hear folks lie to you. They will lie to you and try to say that voting is not important. Oh, voting is very important. They will try to lie to you and say that voting does not make a difference. It does. It does. Now, whether you realize it now, or maybe you need to get a little bit older before you realize it, you should realize it. You should realize, especially these local elections. The local elections directly affect you because essentially the local elections, that's what governs the laws and where you live. So when folks say that voting doesn't matter, either they don't know, don't show, or don't care about what's going on in the hood. Now, Baltimore County is leading when it comes to in-person voter turnout. And more than half of the county's voters who requested mail-in ballots have returned them in Baltimore County. It is a convenient way. You can make sure that you get it done. You don't have to wait till the last minute. And it's very important to vote. It makes a difference. I know, and you're going to have these folks that are going to say, oh, it does this or that, or, whatever. I don't want to hear y'all complaining when y'all don't like the way things go, because you're not participating. You're not participating. And participation is key. Now, you also need to do research, got a little bit of homework. And then after it's over, you still need to check and hold these folks accountable. So a lot of people don't want to vote because they think that it just ends when you leave the voters booth. It does not. It continues. It's like any kind of relationship. You got to water it. You got to, you put the seeds down. You got to water it. You got to make sure it gets sun. You got to check on it. And that's what we got to do with these politicians. You got to continue to check on them. You got to continue to reinforce. Remember you said such and such? Yeah, you got to do that. You can't leave it up to the human to just do it themselves without you reinforcing and checking up on it. It is a relationship. You got to take it to the movies and stuff. Right? And we need everybody to do their part. We need everybody to do their part. Now, turnout for this general election, this early voting, turnout at these polls has been much higher than expected. Now, there were low numbers during the primary. And then some people get confused. Didn't we already vote? Some people don't understand, the primary from the general, the purpose of any of them. Some people just don't know. And that's fine. That doesn't mean that you can't learn. You got YouTube. You got programs out there like the WK Show that's going to talk to you about it. And you got other things. There are a lot of other opportunities. You can find out how to make some kind of crazy thing or do some kind of challenge. You look up how to do that. And you need to look up how and why we need to vote. And what is the purpose of many of these jobs that these candidates are trying to get? You can look this stuff up. But we could talk about some of it as well. Of course, we're going to be having an election day special on Tuesday, 9 to 11, right here on fire-tv.com. Of course, streaming on all social networks, also on fire-tv.com, Apple Music, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, etc., etc. So we're going to be here election night, 9 p.m. to 11, as I said. Now, in Baltimore City, almost 10,000 early voters have cast their ballots in person, while just more than 25,000 mail-in ballots have been returned. Now, that's a lower number than was expected. It is, especially during an election in which the stakes are so high. Stakes are very high. Very high. It is very important. Very important. Women's rights, people's rights, your rights. It is important for you to vote. It is important for you to be heard. Protecting this democracy, very important. There are some big ballot questions here in Maryland. Legalization of marijuana is an important step in Maryland, and holding the line against some of the folks who are threatening our democracy. Yes, very important. So, how can you request a mail-in ballot? Used to be called an absentee ballot. Some of the OGs still call it the absentee ballot. This is the mail-in ballot. Now, if you request a mail-in ballot, you should expect to receive it, or should have expected to receive it, at the end of September. Now, if you did not do that, then you probably need to make some other steps. Now, as far as early voting centers open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Early voting ends here in Maryland tomorrow. So you have from 7 a.m. November the 3rd to 8 p.m. November the 3rd. Now, you can vote early in any early voting center in the jurisdiction where you live. You can vote early at any voting center in the jurisdiction where you live. All right? Any registered Maryland voter can cast a ballot during early voting. Any Marylander who is not yet registered to vote but is eligible can register and vote during early voting. It is not that difficult. And some people say, I don't know about the candidates. I don't know this. You need to participate. You got to get started. You got to start. Got to pop that cherry. Now, same-day registration for early voting is also available at each polling location. Very, very easy to do that. Some folks, they want to vote, but they're not registered. They can go to an early voting center or on election day, a polling place, and bring proof of residency and register and vote. Marylanders who wish to register on the same day they cast a ballot will either need to bring a MVA issued driver's license or identification card, a current pay stub, current bank statement, current utility bill, or a government issued document. Ain't no excuses, fam. Y'all You can do this. You can do this. So right now we are 6 days away. 6 days away from election night. Now in Maryland, the governor's race, top of the ticket. Of course, the incumbent Republican governor, Larry Hogan, is term limited and is serving out his second of 2 terms. So he is going to be exiting the governor's mansion. The lieutenant governor, Rutherford, announced in the spring that he would not be a candidate for governor. Not be a candidate for governor. I don't know why. It's interesting. That's interesting. Now, for the governor's race here in Maryland, Westmore versus Republican Dan Cox. Westmore is a former CEO, a veteran, and a small business owner. Born in Tacoma Park, Maryland. He is 43 years old. His running mate is the former state delegate Miller, Democrat from District 15, which is Montgomery County. And she served from 2011 to 2019. So you have maybe heard her name, Miller. He references her frequently. No, Dan Cox doesn't even mention who he's running with. Like, that name doesn't even come up. Dan Cox, also a state delegate, District 4, which is Carroll and Frederick counties, since 2019. Born in Washington, D.C. Now, his running mate is a Naval Academy law professor, Schiffinelli. But like I said, he doesn't even mention that. What's going on? So that's the governor's race. Westmore versus Dan Cox. Now, if you pay attention to the polls, Dan Cox is far behind in the polls. He's trying anything he can do. Doesn't have a lot of money. Doesn't have a lot of support. That does not mean he can't. I don't know. He's trying to. I don't know what he's trying to do. Something. He's a Trump supporter. Helped organize folks to go up January 6th and do the craziness that they did. There is also a third party candidate. There is a libertarian, David Lashar. There's a Green Party candidate, Nancy Wallace. There is a working class candidate, David Harding, and an unaffiliated, Kyle Sefkick. But you need to vote for one of these folks. But if I was a betting man, which I am not, but if I was a betting man, I'm betting on Westmore. One thing that I definitely commend Westmore. Initially, when Westmore got on my radar, maybe like 2 years ago, about 2 years ago, I thought, he was doing his exploratory campaign. I was in Atlanta and I saw an interview that he did on Bloomberg. And I said, this guy's pretty sharp. He has potential. And no, I do not. Mac boy, I do not. Thought that he had potential. And when he eventually ran during the primary, I thought he was kind of phoning it in. I thought he was kind of phoning it in. I saw him in a few appearances, a few forums, a few debates, and he had moments. But I've seen a lot of interviews with him regarding his book and during his exploratory campaign run, so to speak, when he was trying to decide whether he was going to run or not. And it was very engaging. But somewhere during the line, I don't know what was going on, or maybe he was trying to. I don't know what was going on. But during the primary, I was kind of like, I don't know. But since he has become the nominee, he has tightened that thing up. He's on message when he's speaking. He's engaging, and I think that, like many are predicting, this is a future star. in the Democratic Party. This is a future national figure. Talking about Wes Moore. This is a future national figure. Somebody that you need to look out for, right? But right now, we're talking about Maryland. Right now, we need him in Annapolis, and hopefully that's the way things go. Talk about some of these other races. Attorney General, the incumbent Attorney General, who is Frosh, announced in October that he was not going to seek re-election. And Anthony Brown, former lieutenant governor, U.S. Representative, District 4 since 2017, Democrat, born in New York, is running against the former Anne Arundel County councilman from District 5, served from 2014 to 2018, born in Baltimore, Michael Perotka. So definitely you need to cast your votes. You need to cast these votes. Comptroller, another important job. The incumbent, Peter Francho, ran for governor and unsuccessfully ran for governor. So now you have two folks trying to get that job. Comptroller, very important position in Maryland. Brooke Learman, Barry Glassman. Brooke Learman is a state delegate, District 46, Baltimore City, since 2015. She's a disability and civil rights attorney who was born in Washington, D.C. Barry Glassman, the Republican from Harford County. Since 2014, he was a county executive, which is, it's like the mayor, former state senator and delegate, Harford County, born in Haverty Grace. So a lot of other races that we're looking at, of course, the Senate, Chris Van Hollen, the Democrat, running against another Chris Chaffee. And there are a bunch of races. And as I said, we are going to be here on election night, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. for our election day special. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to be talking about the races that we have, announcements to make in it, and just talking in general, not just Maryland, but we're going to be talking about races across the country. And this is going to be election night, 9 p.m. right here on fire-tv.com, thediamondkshow.com. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back with more of the program. Let's do the Diamond K Show. Stay tuned.
Looking for food that feeds your soul? Hoodfellas Bistro and Catering is your local African-American-owned restaurant offering American cuisine. Located across from the courthouse, we offer daily jury specials to reward civic duty. Enjoy our full-service restaurant and fully stocked bar. Dine in, pick up, delivery, and catering. Our themed happy hours feature live music, handcrafted drinks, and weekly specials. Book your private event at hoodfellowsbistrocatering.com.
Welcome back. You and Diamond K in here, of course, the DiamondKShow.com, on fire-tv.com, on all social media. I am at the Diamond K Show. So we've been talking about this election and some of the desperation. I was talking about the desperation of candidate Dan Cox. And many Republicans across the country are trying to push what they are calling election integrity. Right. Although many people, these are many Republicans who are actually elected, but claim that the election system is rigged. But of course, it wasn't rigged when they were getting elected. Strange, very strange, right? Anyway, Baltimore's Mayor Scott responds to candidate Dan Cox, who's been asking for volunteers to legally monitor drop boxes. You've been seeing this in different parts of the country where they have folks, Republicans, usually MAGA Trump folks, who want to stand by the boxes, the drop boxes, and monitor it, right? Like there's something wrong. There's nothing wrong with the drop boxes, right? You know, pull up to the drop box, drop your ballot in, you move along, go about your merry way. They have cameras there, they're watching it. There has been no issues. But Republicans who are far behind in the polls, especially like Dan Cox, want to try to make something when there is nothing. So Mayor Brandon Scott is responding to the effort by Republican candidate Dan Cox on his message for people to watch out for potential voter fraud surrounding the election. Dan Cox is far behind in the polls. Some of you may not even know who he is. Surprisingly, I saw he had a sign up on I guess that was Franklin Town Road. I was really surprised. To see that he had it up one of the whatever, you know what I mean. There's no problems with the drop boxes. They're already being monitored. We don't need folks to go out and try to monitor what's already being monitored. We don't need that to happen. But Cox called on his supporters to monitor the ballot drop boxes. And understand this, we have more drop boxes than Dan Cox has supporters. So I don't even know how he was going to make that even happen. He wants people to take photos and videos and even confront people that they deem to be suspicious. Look, don't do this, people. Especially if you're in Baltimore. A Dan Cox supporter running up to somebody from the hood. Yeah, okay. You can do that if you want to. I do not recommend it. Now, of course, Mayor Scott's not going to say it the way I'm going to say it. But I'm telling you, people, don't run up on nobody in Baltimore City or Baltimore County for that matter, but in Baltimore City trying to confront them or take their picture or take a video of them while they're trying to put their ballot in the drop box. During a press conference today at City Hall, the mayor said that they are coordinating with police to make sure that everyone is safe while voting. And I rode past Edmondson High School on the West Side Skills Center parking lot. There's a drop box there. Nobody was hanging around that. But you constantly see if you look at CNN or MSNBC, they're going to keep showing you this same old drop box that's in, I don't think it's in Arizona somewhere. They keep showing these same two guys in the same drop box. I'm showing them for like a week or so to try to get people to think, ooh, it's people at the drop boxes watching it. No, maybe in Arizona it is, but here in Maryland, nah, I ain't seeing that. Scott said that Cox wants to scare people to try to prevent them from voting by spreading mass hysteria. And of course, that's what Dan Cox wants, because the less people to vote, the better for him, because he don't have a lot of people voting for him anyway. The mayor said that Cox is unfit for office. And I agree. Now, even Larry Hogan, who I disagree with about a number of things, said that Dan Cox was unfit for office, and I agree with him as well. So far, Cox is trailing by a wide margin to Wes Moore, as he should be. Now, we're going to see what happens, but I am predicting that Wes Moore is going to mop the floor with Dan Cox, right? That sounds crazy. But he sent this message out, and it is very reckless. The Maryland Democratic Party said that it was reckless for Cox to call on people to monitor ballot drop boxes. They said that it could lead to voter intimidation. I don't think not in Baltimore. It won't. If anybody's going to be intimidated, it's going to be the Cox supporters, because it's only like 3 of them, or maybe 4. Might be 4. Yeah. We're We're going to see about that. We're going to see about that. Dropbox is very convenient. Very convenient. I think that Republicans would be better, but here's why they can't do that. But it, to me, makes more sense for Republicans to encourage their voters to vote early. But no, here's why they don't want to do that. They don't have that many voters. There are more Democrats, registered Democrats, than there are Republicans. So they can't really play the numbers game. If you look, Trump always, every time he's run, he's lost the popular vote. They're less Republicans. They're less Republicans. So they have to, resort to tricks and schemes and scams and all that kind of stuff in order to have any traction. Any traction. It's shameful. It is shameful. Just tuning in, you listen to the Diamond K Show, onfire-tv.com, thediamondkshow.com. Of course, on all social media, I am at the Diamond K Show. On election night, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., we're going to have our election day special, the Diamond K Show, and friends. We're going to be joined by some friends. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let's do this. Take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with more of the program. After this, you listen to the Diamond K Show. The defense wanted to call a forensic accountant. And this accountant is supposed to testify that Mosby's net worth declined by at least 30% in the spring of 2020 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Oh, and the prosecution hates that. See, because here's my thing. Every business was affected by COVID, unless your business was to spread COVID. So the prosecution's like, oh, no, she's going to actually prove her case. We don't want this to happen. We don't want any testimony from this witness. So they didn't want the testimony. Of course, this at the core is her defense. Mosby had a travel-related business. The travel industry was impacted severely by COVID.
It's the Diamond K Show here at onfiretv.com.
Welcome back. You and Diamond K in here. Now, the President Biden, is really trying to hammer home that he wants voters to save democracy, save it from the lies, save it from violence. Weeks after reassuring talk about America's economy and inflation, Joe Biden today, his message got a little bit darker, a little bit more urgent, warning in the final days of the midterm election that democracy itself is under threat. Democracy itself is under threat. And the president says that former President Trump, his election denying lies, and the violence that have been inspired because of those lies are something that we really need to be paying attention to in these last days before the midterm. Pointing in particular to this attack that happened over the weekend on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, 82 years old. Attacked by a Trump supporter. They broke into the Pelosi house, and his lies, Trump's lies, false claims about a stolen election have fueled the dangerous rise of political violence and attempts at voter intimidation for the past 2 years, since he got his clock cleaned by Joe Biden. Dumb Donald is mad because he got beat by slow Joe Biden. And he should feel a certain kind of way, but he should turn that inwardly. He should feel bad himself. You the one that lost. Dumb Donald, you the one that lost to slow Joe. We are 6 days before the midterm elections. 6 days. 6 days. The president said that as I stand here today, there are candidates running for every level of office in America, for governor, for Congress, for attorney general, for secretary of state, who won't commit to accepting the results of the elections that they are in. Let that sink. Let that marinate for a minute. There are many people running for several offices across this country who say if they don't win, then that means that the election is fixed. I mean, we wouldn't tolerate this from kids. We wouldn't tolerate this from adults in a football game. If I don't win the game, then that means that the refs are fixing the game. What are you talking about? If you lose, you lose. You win, you win. This is unprecedented. It is unlawful. It is definitely un-American. It's definitely un-American. There is problems with the Democrats, problems with the Republicans. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. But I'm not going to sit here and act like they are equal, right? They're not equal. There is a economic contrast between the Democrats and the Republicans. These MAGA Republicans are the minority, but they are the driving force right now for Republicans. There's should be a lot of concern over political violence depending on where you live. Depending on where you live. There are threats to America's long tradition of hard-fought but peaceful and accurate elections. Republicans trying to succeed where they failed in 2020 by suppressing the rights of voters and subverting the electoral system itself. They're trying from all angles. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think that it's going to work. Barnabas Jam said, I tolerate what from Stacey Abrams and what from Hillary? What do I tolerate? What are you talking? Tell me more. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Barnabas, do you want to come on the show? Because you can come on here if you have, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd like to know. And feel free to join me on election night because you're gonna be sad and crying and whining because the Republicans lost. I think that's what I think is going to be happening. I think you're going to be crying and whining like, the candidates that want to win lost. Oh, election denial. He said election denial. All right, got to correct you. Now, Stacey Abrams is not denying the result of the election. Now, Stacey Abrams did have some questions, and there's nothing wrong with having questions, right? There's nothing wrong with losing a close election, okay? DeSantis lost a close election, but, correction, DeSantis won a close election, and, it's whatever. Stacey Abrams lost a close election. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, was feeling a certain kind of way, but she did not say that Trump's not the president. She did not say that he's, she had a certain kind of feeling. And there was a whole lot of Russian collusion and all that kind of stuff, but they weren't able to prove that it affected the election. People didn't like it. They moved on. They did not question the system itself. They did not say that Trump really wasn't the president. Like they didn't do none of that. It's not the same. Just like when Republicans try to say now, oh, y'all want to talk about political violence when Steve Scalise got shot. No, when Steve Scalise got shot, Democrats and independents, they condemned it. It was a Bernie Sanders supporter. They condemned it. They weren't making jokes about, oh, that's why he got shot. No, they weren't. They were not doing that. We were not doing that. Republicans, on the other hand, are making fun of 82-year-old Nancy Pelosi's husband getting bashed in the head. This is like somebody's grandfather. Like, this is supposed to be the law and order party? What a joke. What a joke. What a joke. So this is days. So Biden is talking days after a man tried to kidnap Nancy Pelosi and severely injured her husband. Republicans making jokes about an 82-year-old guy. They got hit in the head with a hammer. Oh yes, these are the these are the Christians. That's not very Christian-like. The evangelicals, that's not very evangelical-like. Yes, the hypocrisy. Oh my God, it's blinding. It is blinding. Now, this is the first federal election since January 6, 2021. That insurrection, yeah, this is the first federal election since then. Trump's attempts to overturn the will of the voters from the 2020 presidential election. Republicans, again, he led y'all to defeat after defeat in Georgia, and he's going to lead you to another defeat. Going to lead you again, and maybe Republicans will get the message. Maybe they won't. I don't care. Really, whether if y'all don't want to get the message and continue to have Trump, and then your party's going to splinter, that's on y'all, right? That's on y'all if that's what y'all want to do. I'm just telling you, doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, at The Diamond K Show, of course, onfire-tv.com. We're going to do this. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with more of the show after this. Today's broadcast was brought to you in part by City View Bar and Grill. City View is a family-friendly, casual dining bar and restaurant, providing high-quality food and good old-fashioned friendly service. At City View Bar and Grill, you can live every hour like it's happy hour. The food is mouth-watering, the atmosphere is fun, energetic, and mature. Located at 6700 Security Boulevard in Gwynn Oak, Maryland, aka Woodlawn, it is the City View Bar and Grill. Stop in today or visit cityviewmd.com. That's cityviewmd.com. The 2022 Baltimore Crown Awards goes down Saturday, November the 19th at the Garage, 6 Lafayette Avenue in Baltimore. This year's celebration is an Emerald Party. There is a dress code. It's emerald green, and that is to celebrate the 16-year anniversary of the Baltimore scene movement. Please come dressed in the theme and the color for a visual unity that reflects the theme for the evening. It's hosted by comedian Desi Alexander. You can cast your votes right now. Visit thebaltimorescene.org. We'll see you Saturday, November the 19th, 2022, for the Baltimore Crown Awards. Welcome back. Your man Diamond K in here, of course. OnFire-TV.com, TheDiamondKShow.com. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm not feeling good about this next story for a couple of reasons. So fights at the end of the Baltimore City College versus Poly resulted in the end of both schools' seasons. Both schools' seasons over. The suspension is being labeled as the right call from school headquarters to City Hall. Many folks are saying this is the right move. Now, City Poly have had this rivalry billed as one of the fiercest high school rivalries in the nation. This year, the crosstown matchup was held at a neutral site, Homewood Field at Johns Hopkins University. City won the game 24-16. But when it comes to the playoffs, when it comes to one of the most important things for a football program, Both teams lose in the end. Celebration followed by a confrontation. The fight took place around the 30-yard line and involved players from both teams, other students, and community members. Oh, it was disgusting. It's like we having a WWE Battle Royal. I love Battle Royals. I love the Royal Rumble. But this was not the time or the place. Royal Rumble's in January, right? It was widespread. And we're clear about our conduct and what the repercussions for that are. It's unfortunate. I don't think it represents the best of the two teams or their coaching staff. The CEO of Baltimore City Public Schools said. A fight erupting during the Poly City game coverage. City Black Knights, the Poly Engineers, embarrassed the schools. And they embarrassed the city as well. We look crazy. We look crazy. So after careful review, district officials issued a statement saying that when a team engages in a fight, they are automatically suspended for the next game. Both of these teams, this means that they will not participate in the state playoffs. Man, very disappointed. I'm sure that they are disappointed about this. I mean, the weekend's the rivalry that City and Poly have is very storied. It's a very storied rivalry. But this fight that took place after the game has ended the season for both teams. No playoffs for y'all. No playoffs for y'all. Now, unfortunately, this is not the first time. Two other Baltimore City football teams faced the same consequences earlier this season. And similar consequences have occurred between City and Poly within the last 10 years. We have got to handle this better. Like, this is a football game. Nobody's even getting paid for this. What are y'all so amped up about? Now, I mean, this is unfortunately what it is. We don't want to get this rep, though. We don't want to get this rep. And they're also saying this. They're going to continue to review the videos. They're going to continue to investigate accounts of this incident. And they're going to discipline students and adults as necessary. Now, again, many students and alumni showed great sportsmanship and community sport during the game. It wasn't everybody. Unfortunately, fighting and poor sportsmanship cannot be tolerated, and there are clear consequences. I'm disappointed, and I know that the schools are disappointed that their teams will not compete in the playoffs. I don't know what that means. That means they're going to bring up like the two teams that they beat and let them go in their spots. I guess it's probably what's going to happen. Hopefully. And here's the thing. These are supposed to be the smart kids, right? The ones that are at Poly and City. These are supposed to be the smart ones in the city. The adults is with them. They're supposed to be smart too. Hopefully, y'all will learn from this experience and carry on the great traditions of your respective schools. This is embarrassing. Let's regroup here. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back with more of the program after this.
She don't have no chill when it comes to me.
I don't have no chill on anyone. Let's be real.
You don't, but you get extra points by punching on me. That's just our relationship, but
He act like it's the Mario game, and when I say the coins is going up, no.
that's how I do coins. Listen, I don't care if we see each other at a funeral. She starts.
Me?
Immediately, as soon as she see me. Why you wear this dirty uniform to a funeral?
And guess what? That sounds like her. She has no filter at all.
None.
He is lying. I might say don't touch me because he got on that.
You asked me why did I have that dirty uniform on at a funeral?
I don't remember that. Was that one of my uncles or what? Who cousin? Who was it?
Yeah, that was your uncle.
Well, then that's probably why. So anyway.
Check out Swap Radio Thursdays, 7 p.m. at onfire-tv.com. Welcome back. You man Diamond K in here, of course. The Diamond K Show, weekdays right here, live, of course, on demand, on fire-tv.com, on YouTube. Search The Diamond K Show, DJ Diamond K, and on anywhere you get podcasts, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. Just search The Diamond K Show. Definitely want y'all to tune in for our election night special. Tuesday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. We're going to be talking about the results that we know. And I'm looking at comments. Barnabas says that he's got 5 on Kemp. All right, here's the thing about that bet. I hate that bet. All right, I want Abrams to win, but I'm feeling funny about this. But you know, I will bet. I'll bet on Stacey Abrams. Yeah, we got that. I'll take that bet. I'll take that bet. $5 on the Stacey Abrams Kemp race for governor of Georgia. Yeah, I'll take that. I will take that. All right. So let's do this. Let's talk about a disgusting person. Disgusting. The Parkland school killer has formally been sentenced to life in prison. Nicholas Cruz received this sentence, life without parole, today after families of his 17 slain victims spent 2 days berating him as an evil coward, a monster, subhuman. He still didn't get everything that he deserves. You know, they said a lot of things to him and all of that. Cruz was shackled in a red jail jumpsuit, watched intently as the judge sentenced him to 17 life terms for the February 14th, 2018 massacre at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida. And an additional 17 for the attempted murders of those that he wounded. So he's not getting out of jail. The judge didn't have any choice. The jury in this 3-month penalty trial voted 9-3 on October 13th to sentence him to death. But Florida law requires, anonymity for that sentence to be imposed. I don't know. It is the judge, really commended the families of the wounded who testified, calling them strong, graceful, and patient. I can't imagine being in that courtroom with that murderer. I cannot imagine. So definitely, those were strong individuals. Definitely. But this killer, formally sentenced, life without parole. Life without parole. So, all right, let's check it out. What is what is Barnum saying? Bet. Okay, yes, we have a bet. We have a $5 bet. No election denial allowed. Listen, I'm not gonna. I don't deny the election. I mean, what are you talking about? Now, the thing with Kemp, he started. He had a lot of votes thrown out and different things during his election. previously, which is what Stacey Abrams was upset about. It's never a clean election with Republicans, right? You always got to play the dirty tricks. You always got to play the dirty tricks. They're like a wrestler. One of the bad guy wrestlers that always cheats. That's what they like. That's what happens. Can't lose fair and square. Got to come up with the foolishness. Got to come up with the games and all that kind of stuff. Of course, you can stream episodes of the Diamond K Show on fire-tv.com/Diamond K. My mixes, you can check me out. My music, I got an album that's going to be dropping next week. It's a very exciting time. Very exciting time. Of course, I need to get in touch with me. Bookings, any music submissions, any kind of business info. DJDiamondK@gmail.com. DJDiamondK@gmail.com. Watch any of our programs live or on demand on fire-tv.com/watch. On fire-tv.com/watch. Of course, you can check me out on YouTube. Subscribe to the page, The Diamond K Show on YouTube. We have a lot of exciting things going on. So I definitely want to make sure that you don't miss anything. Of course, today's broadcast brought to you in part by City View Bar and Grill, 6700 Security Boulevard in Gwynn Oak, Maryland. CityViewMD.com. Visit CityViewMD.com. Of course, I will be back here tomorrow, 6 p.m. for more of the program. And as I said, our election night special coming up. You have time. All right, you have time. Now, our election night coverage is going to start 9 p.m. on Tuesday, 9 p.m. Make sure that you get out and vote. So important that you get out and vote. No excuses. If you don't participate in the process, you can't talk. You can't say nothing. You don't participate in the process, you can't say nothing. All right, you got to sit there and just, I don't know, sit there like bump on a log.
Visit OnFireTV.com for live top stories, breaking news, and original shows. It's the Diamond K Show.
So much going on in the world. You talk about things from the perspective of how it is. DJ Diamond K, sometimes it comes off like you are almost not in support of, but you just accept the way things are and there's no chance of change. Check me out on YouTube. That's the part that I am just like,
OnFireTV.com.
Today's broadcast was brought to you in part by City View Bar and Grill. City View is a family-friendly casual dining bar and restaurant providing high-quality food and good old-fashioned friendly service. At City View Bar and Grill, you can live every hour like it's happy hour. The food is mouth-watering, the atmosphere is fun, energetic, and mature. Located at 6700 Security Boulevard in Gwynn Oak, Maryland, a.k.a. Woodlawn, it is the City View Bar and Grill. Stop in today or visit cityviewmd.com. That's cityviewmd.com. The 2022 Baltimore Crown Awards goes down Saturday, November the 19th at the Garage, 6 Lafayette Avenue in Baltimore. This year's celebration is an Emerald Party. There is a dress code. It's emerald green, and that is to celebrate the 16-year anniversary of the Baltimore scene movement. Please come dressed in the theme and the color for a visual unity that reflects the theme for the evening. It's hosted by comedian Desi Alexander. You can cast your votes right now. Visit thebaltimorescene.org. We'll see you Saturday, November the 19th, 2022 for the Baltimore Crown Awards.
Looking for food that feeds your soul? Hoodfellas Bistro and Catering is your local African-American owned restaurant offering American cuisine. Located across from the courthouse, we offer daily jury specials to reward civic duty. Enjoy our full-service restaurant and fully stocked bar. Dine in, pick up, delivery, and catering. Our themed happy hours feature live music, handcrafted drinks, and weekly specials. Book your private event at hoodfellowsbistrocatering.com.